If you are a Houstonian, if you're traveling to Houston and you want to go to a tremendous restaurant, we have just the man for you. His name is Jonathan Levine. He has 2 locations. The restaurant is called Jonathan's The Rub, and he is here with us today. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
No, thank you, Bill. Nice to be here. I appreciate having me.
Well, just saying the name, Jonathan's The Rub, I'm starting to get hungry. You have a super 2 location. Your restaurants are great.
Yeah, well, we've been in the business a lot of years, and I tell everybody that the reason the food's good is because I've made every mistake you can make, and so now it's foolproof. We learned the hard way, which is pretty typical in the restaurant business.
Well, let's tell people, first of all, as people listen here in Houston and certainly on the internet far beyond, a lot of travelers come and go to your restaurant. But here in Houston, let's tell people and remind them of the 2 locations that you have.
Oh, thank you. We have a location in Memorial and Memorial Village. The Memorial one is on Memorial Drive near Gessner, and that's Jonathan's The Rub at Memorial Green. And it's a pretty nice place. It's more higher end than the new place, which is on Campbell and I-10, and that's Jonathan's The Rub at Campbell Place.
Now, let's tell people right away, in case someone is not driving right now and they want to look, as I usually do, I love to look at menus online before I get to a restaurant. Let's tell them the website, because both of the menus for either location's right on there. Let's tell them.
It's just jonathanstherub.com, and it'll guide you to both restaurants, and it also will take you to our catering operation, too.
So you came to Houston from the Northeast. I remember I talked to you years ago on the show, but let's tell people a little bit about your story and where the passion for food and also for entertaining others with tremendous food. How was that born, Jonathan?
I took a circuitous route to finding my something that I've been doing all my adult life. I've kind of just turned my life around when I understood that I was all about hospitality. It was kind of in my nature to try to make everybody around me feel good. I would cook at home, and I would ad-lib jokes and just have good times and take care of everybody around me. Well, I was destined for a whole other career. I was a commodity trader in New York City after I got my MBA, and it wasn't really hitting home. And I just jumped ship and I bought a restaurant on Cape Cod. I went to college in Boston, so going to Cape Cod was a natural, and that was about 32 years ago. We started there. I tell people it's the restaurant business for me is a compilation of all the things that I'm naturally good at. It's like I was a naturally good ball player, right? So cooking came naturally easy to me, and I was good at it right off the bat, just getting flavors together, and I kept learning about it. One thing I do is I study. When you get your master's degree, it teaches you how to learn.
Well, it's like anything else. It's a process, right?
It's a process. I just dove into it, and I was a naturally good cook. I had the mathematic background from business school to understand how the business worked. I learned how to be a good trader also, because when you're going out looking for food, it's like you have to get the best food at the best price all the time. So you have to work the system, and that's something I got good at over time.
Well, let's go back. I'm really curious. I'm picturing Cape Cod is so beautiful. I grew up in Pennsylvania, but I've been here in Houston since the 80s. However, I remember going to Cape Cod. Beautiful. Going back to that first day that you started, there you are from a different industry. Now you're in the restaurant business. You open the doors of your new restaurant. Give us a little word about how that started, and what was the name of the place?
Oh, that was the Fairways. I was a good golfer, and it seemed like a perfect hit to have a restaurant on a golf course. So on Cape Cod, it was all the things that I loved in life. So what happened was I had an idea. I took over an existing restaurant, so I had a base menu to use, and I would get everything organized and make sure my cooks were on, and get it open. Then I'd go play a few holes of golf and come back and make sure it was running well. Well, it ends up it wasn't running well. We had a difficulty in the kitchen with some consumption of things that weren't supposed to be consumed, which is kind of endemic in the business. And I had to let the chef go. And that means I became the chef. 3 weeks into owning a restaurant, never having cooked on the line, I took over the kitchen. So I've owned restaurants now 30-something years from behind the line. It's an adventure. It's an adventure.
So then if I have this right, about 30-some years ago, you started cooking. And I will say this, having been to both your restaurants here in Houston, that's I'm going to say it's one of the keys to your success and why people have been going there year after year is because you are a great cook. You establish recipes that I guess other people cook now, but I mean, that is so important. And you put together super dishes that I've enjoyed. But there you are. Still go back to the beginning where you're still learning how to cook. You had a knack for it, apparently.
Yeah, no, I was confident that I could make things taste good. I just had that. That was a natural thing. But producing it on scale, on time, and all that was something that I had to learn. I had to learn it quickly. And I had some good support. You know, I just read a lot, the restaurant business books and all the things you need to establish yourself as a legitimate entity.
Well, when people think of Cape Cod, as I do, we're thinking of seafood. Would it be safe to say the origins of your cooking and being a chef were in the seafood realm?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. You can't do seafood on Cape Cod. You can't be open.
They run you out of town.
Yeah, that's it. You're gone. So, and the beautiful part about it is you get such fresh fish coming in right off the ships, right to the docks. Early morning, you know, the old way to do it. You went and picked up your fish. You picked it out. Either they would fillet it for you, or you could take it back and clean it yourself. So it was great stuff. You had scallops and mussels and clams and codfish and swordfish and striped bass and on and on and on. And so that was the emphasis at first. But I also had a love for pasta dishes. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a Jewish guy from Brooklyn, but if you live in Brooklyn, your Italian food is your thing because it's like Mexican in Houston, Italian in Brooklyn. So always had Italian items, pasta items on the menu with fish. It kept expanding from there. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's fast forward. There you are. You leave for some reason. What was the reason you left Cape Cod to come to Houston, and about what year was that?
That was in 99. I was having a little marital difficulties at the time. Quite honestly, I was burnt out. The restaurant that I was running at that point was really intense, and it kind of did me in. And I just didn't renew the lease. And I had a family here in Houston, and I just jumped ship. Just started fresh again in 99 and opened my catering company first in 2000 in the Memorial area. My sister was here, so I catered for her friends, and then it just started taking off from there. So.
And then I'm guessing the location it sounds like the location that you had that was, I'll use the word tucked away right there near Campbell Road. Is that where that began?
Yeah,
that was from catering to Jonathan's The Rub.
Jonathan's The Rub originated in a hole in the wall on a side street in Hedwig Village in a pretty dilapidated mini mall, and everybody thought I was crazy to even start it there, but I just had a feeling it was going to work. It was kind of a cozy atmosphere, New York-ish. And
neighborly. It was a neighborhood vibe, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, lo and behold, it worked. It just came together. We had lines around the building at first. It was pretty cool.
What year was that when that opened?
So we got to the restaurant actually from catering in 2008, in March of 2008. We opened the restaurant. It was just 28 seats at the time, and we still had the catering operation. And then as the suites came available, We just expanded, and we ended up with 4 suites. We took the whole mini mall and outside seating, so we had about 110 seats over time.
And here we are today with your 2 locations. And what's interesting is at your first location, Jonathan's The Rub, it was tucked away. People would drive by, but not like today where you're on Memorial. People are seeing the restaurant if they haven't heard or eaten there at Memorial Green. They see it on I-10. They see it. Thousands of cars go by every minute, maybe. Yeah. So how interesting is that? Going back to the tucked away thing, I remember hearing about you. The word of mouth was so strong. That's why you got I'm guessing that's why you got the lines around the door. People talked about how good the food was.
Yeah, and it was another benefit we had was we were BYOB at the time, where the people in the Memorial area, Memorial Village, had great wines that they could bring in, and we had a small corkage fee. So we didn't even have room originally to store wine. So we made it just, bring your wine in, Not a great business model, quite honestly, but we made it work, and then we just kept it going. So, it was a friendly environment. They could bring their own wine. It was kind of a cool joint. And then we expanded our menu, and we were there at that location for 12 years.
At your locations today, as people listen to this show, you're on Campbell Road, basically, in I-10, also on Memorial Green, which is Memorial, inside the Beltway 8 loop. From your original Jonathan's The Rub, how many menu items have you retained? Or maybe there's too many to mention, but just name a few items that are on the menu today from that original location that was so successful.
Well, first
I'm going to guess one. Macaroni, the lobster macaroni and cheese?
We don't do it with lobster all the time, but the mac and cheese has been on since the beginning.
That's
we have
unbelievable,
a couple
too.
of secrets on that one. One of which is smoked Gouda cheese, and it's
crazy. I love
it's
it.
Crazy good. People come and just take it out, which is great. But the Italian dishes are the same. We have Ciappino, Fra Diavolo, piccatas, whether it be veal or chicken, and marsala. All those dishes have proliferated all the way through, and then we kept adding and adding and adding. So we have a complete line of steaks, and then the sauces with them. I'm a sauce guy.
Me too.
So our sauces are all made from scratch, and that brings it over for me. So sauces on. We add a sauce to the redfish. We have a jalapeno redfish, which has got poblano and jalapenos that are sautéed with some onion, some chipotle. And it's in a cream sauce. We lay that on the redfish. It's really good stuff. And we have a pico redfish too, with our freshly made, everyday make pico de gallo in a nice citrus base, and we add that to the redfish. Those things haven't been on from the beginning, but we take it from the beginning, and then we go where we want to go, and hopefully it works, and it does work. So
let's dial back to the beef for a minute. You mentioned the steaks. I'm a big steak eater. I love it. And, of course, we're hearing so much about the price of meat going up, even availability. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But on the menus at both of the restaurants, and we'll tell people the menu. That's why I said go to jonathanstherub.com. Look at the menus. They're a little bit different. But let's talk steaks. The steaks that people can find at your place that are distinctive versus other places. Let's talk a little bit about those steaks and some more about the steak sauces, if you would.
Well, yeah. You're in Houston, Texas. You have to have great steaks. So we buy certified Angus prime beef, and we don't get dry aged meat because, quite honestly, I don't like it. So I stay away from it. But we buy the best. It's called wet aged, which is at least 21 days. That's our main thing. And then we also have Wagyus. We have strip, New York strip Wagyu, and we have the ribeye Wagyu. And then an exceptional piece of meat is we have the bone-in beef tenderloin, which is
come on now.
I don't even understand it, quite honestly. But the flavor coming off from that bone, sometimes a filet is more about texture than flavor. but the fillets coming off the bone have great flavor and that great fillet texture. So it's an expensive piece of meat, but it's delicious. And then the 34-ounce porterhouse, which is dinner for two. We went it like crazy on Valentine's, and it sold and sold and sold. And we served it sliced because you have the fillet side on one side and the New York strip, and then the bone in the middle. Okay, so that's what
out of sight.
Okay, and then you do that with a veal demi-glaze or a gorgonzola cream sauce, or I just like it sometimes with horseradish. And then you could add stuff on top, like throw some great shrimp on top. And so that's the steaks. Those steaks were available at Memorial Green. At the Campbell Place location, we don't have the bone-in filet tenderloin. It's more of a casual joint, so.
And that's at Campbell.
Yeah,
right
the Campbell Place is more low key, and the price point I don't think would work with that. So,
but Memorial Green, people can get it.
It's a fancy joint. It's
beautiful.
It's a beautiful place. We won an award first year for our architectural design, so that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. Also, as far as even lunches, as beautiful as Memorial Green is, as far as the value of to have such a super atmosphere and to have such a tremendous value, that's great. Same thing at Campbell. I've been at both for lunch, and it's incredible. I do want to take just a minute. Your daughter, that's because I sat and had lunch and was enjoying whatever. I had the pot roast sandwich, I think it is. Or something. Okay, I was eating that, and I saw Jessica, your daughter. I hope she's listening, and she helped set this thing up for us so we could talk today. But she was fun to talk to. We talked, 10, 15 minutes at the table, and she's doing incredible work, and she's so excited about food, just like you are.
Yeah, she's Daddy's girl, and she's been in the business. She's 39 years old now. She's been in the business since she's 14. She started organizing the front of the house at my second restaurant. She's got the same passion and maybe even more intense because she's younger than I am. I'm moving on a little bit in years, but she is a pistol, and everybody I talk to when I walk through the restaurant loves it. In fact, she instigated a really cool thing. She worked with Republic National to develop a Jonathan's the Rub Cab Sav that she worked out flavor profile, and we developed our own label wine. So this kid is she's got restaurants in her blood. So
interesting to see where she'll take all this. Working at your location right there, Memorial Green. We're talking with Jonathan Levine. That's right. If you're here in Houston, you've heard of Jonathan's The Rub. He's incredible, doing tremendous work at both of those locations. I'm so glad that you have two to go to now. So wherever my flight plan is on a given day, there's one generally convenient to where I go and where many other people go.
Yeah, the Campbell Place location is so accessible. I didn't even realize when we leased it that it would be so easy. You kind of don't think of all these things, but it's right off the highway, 2 ways in, 2 ways out, and we have good exposure as you're driving west on Interstate 10. You could see our logo sign.
Yes.
And we even bought one of those little sign things that they have on the road for those blue signs we put our logo on that on the highway. That was kind of fun. I always wanted to do that.
Well, easy on, easy off, no doubt about that.
It's
no matter which way you're going on I-10, and people are going back and forth all the time there. Give us an idea of where you get the creative ideas when you add something on the menu, because you're also experimenting as you go. It's not just the same thing over and over for years and years.
It's a constant. I'm constantly online. I'm constantly thinking, this is what I do. This is what supports my family. So, and this is my passion. So what I do is I research, I think, and everything comes together. I hate to tell you this. When I'm in the shower in the morning, okay, that's when I have the moments of clarity. And I say, okay, this is what I got to try. I bet you it's going to work. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't, but we come out with a lot of new stuff, interesting flavors. We have some dishes I was playing with. What was it? We call it Caribbean shrimp now, but I grilled watermelon as part of the plate, and it's just delicious with blackened shrimp. And then we make a a vegetable rice that's seasoned with cumin and a little coriander and cayenne. So it's a beautiful dish. So.
Well, Jonathan, we have about 4 minutes left, so let's make sure that we tell everybody what you want them to know. You have catering, people around the area. You can serve them as far as their homes for parties. They can pick things up and take it with them. JonathansTheRub.com menu, lunch and dinner.
We have what's called Jtr Catering, and it's been around longer than the restaurants, as I kind of described earlier. Our claim to fame is that we go into homes where people are having a dinner party for, say, 30 people or 50 people, and we'll actually cook on location with our own gear. We have stoves and fryers and saute stations, and we'll go outside and put a tent outside and then go and serve your guests. We also do corporate work, corporate lunches. We call it boardroom catering, which is kind of kicked up, fancy. When all the VIPs are flying in, and you want a nice meal, and you want them in your conference room, that's what we're all about for that. And that business flourishes all year. It does. I mean, it doesn't work during COVID, but it's back and it's happening right now. You know, what we try to do is, this is a family-run thing, so this is what we do, and everything we do, it's got to be pure and righteous. So we're pricing out food for the quality of the food that we offer to the price. It's a very great value, and we give down-home treatment. Our servers are polite and friendly. I'm so proud of what we're doing now. I'm proud of my kids. My son Sam runs the Campbell Place location, and he's doing a great job with that. That place has been filled every day since we opened on June 1st. We've had nothing but filled up dining room. It's just an amazing thing.
Well, we say hi to Sam too. I hope he listens to the show today.
No,
huh?
Sam will listen. He's more of a media guy than my daughter or I, so he'll hear this. But he turned into a great restaurateur. He didn't start as early as Jesse, but he really he's great with front of the house. He does a great job. So.
Real quick, between the two locations that you have, when you sit down and eat at your restaurants, name two things that you get on a regular basis that you order that people listening could say, hey, man, if Jonathan's going to order that, let me have one.
Well, kind of a mainstream one is the chicken Parmesan. Simple dish, right? Well, we do it. It's out of sight. We use whole milk ricotta, whole milk mozzarella. Nice seasoning, a nice thick piece of chicken, and a great homemade red sauce. And we serve that with a pasta of your choice. That's one thing. And then for me, I'm a New York strip guy.
Yes.
And it's got a great bite. We actually, at Campbell Place, we sous vide our meats first. It's a process that imparts flavor, and then we broil it after that. It's really good.
That's my next thing I'm ordering there. Now, do you get with the New York strip? Because I between a filet, the ribeye, we talks about how ribeyes and fillets, I gravitate to the strip most times than not.
Me too. It's got a great bite and full of flavor.
Do you have a sauce with it when you have the strip, or it's already, you say it's sous vide in there?
No,
so,
I mean, I definitely go with one sauce or another. I put it on the side, typically. The Gorgonzola, it's great, but I'm a veal demi-glaze guy.
That is awesome.
Great.
Before we close the segment, Jonathan Levine, Jonathan's the Rub. The name, Jonathan's the Rub. I guess people have asked you that a million times since you started, but tell us, Jonathan's the Rub.
So
what is that?
It's therein lies the rub. It comes from Shakespeare, the to be or not to be soliloquy in Hamlet, where he's lamenting about the loss of his father, and he's questioning existence on the planet, and it's like the conundrums. Nothing has an answer. That's the rub. It's like, do you dream after you die? Is life worth living? The strings and arrows of outrageous fortune. So that's the origin. My mom was a Shakespeare scholar. So it's been with us and all the way through.
Well, if Shakespeare only knew, he'd be lamenting that he hadn't eaten at your restaurant. I'm guessing. I don't know, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Jonathan Levine, Jonathan's the Rub. Jonathan, one more time, let's tell them the website.
It's jonathanstherub.com, and it opens up, and both restaurants are right there, and you could reserve tables on Open Table right from there.
Right there, lunch or dinner, and we say hi to Sam and Jesse. Thank you, Jonathan, for being on the show.
Oh, thanks, Bill. Really a lot of fun.